Well, hello and welcome to another week. Quickly hiding that phone. One comment said, that phone. That's all it said. I think this meant, should not have phones. Are we quite right, really? One can be practicing in solitude without such devices more easily, but we exercise restraint. I did reply that in fact it's two phones. There is that phone with the questions, comments, your questions, your comments, for me to be able to talk about them. And there's also that phone that is filming this, without which you wouldn't be looking on that phone, you are looking at this on, or computer or device or whatever. So I fail to be able to understand the problem there. I can see the point of view, but I have made talks about it before, along with coffee, so I won't go into that further. We begin another week, so welcome and hello. As we begin another week, approaching this week Poya Day, it's called here, the full moon. They celebrate the Buddhist holy day, the Uposatha, really just the once a month, it seems here, on the full moon, not the full moon and new moon, as we do elsewhere. And also in Thailand, in fact, they often observe the quarter moons also. So as we approach the full moon of January, the Uposatha on the 25th, I think, or 24th, something thereabouts, this coming Thursday, it also marks the time passage. I have been here for, 3 months. This will be my, third Poya. So 90 days anyway. And that time has gone by so quickly in many respects, but an awful lot has been done. Not what I set out to do as I ventured away from India after the monsoon time, spending 3 months in one place. I came here with all kinds of ideas and plans, as one does. Not so much plans, but to just go wandering. But the monsoon season continued here, and as it had come to an end just this last week or so, it has now resumed its self again. It's now been raining quite a lot this last few days, but it doesn't matter, because as it's worked out, I've settled in this place in a little vihara. And just to address another comment, it said, why has this vihara been set up by a busy road? I can't remember the words exactly. It said it's annoying for people trying to listen to the Dharma. And I understand what you're saying. It's perhaps not the peace, quiet and tranquility you might expect from, let's say, a Dharma talk in a big temple, a Dharma hall. Although they're quite rare to find these days, few and far between, except within certain select traditions of Buddhism. You'll find that many Dharma talks, presentations are accompanied by quite a lot of chanting, a lot of people in the audience and things in big temples, city temples. In the smaller ones, then there are the jungle noises and the comings and goings of people, even in the forest monasteries, the chinking and clattering of pots and pans, the chickens, the dogs, the snakes, the cicadas, the jungle noises. We're very rarely in a natural, quiet environment. It's usually an environment that has been contrived, put together, somewhat artificial, the environment of perhaps a meditation center or something like that, which is good for the support in the early stages of practice. But we must learn to find peace in our minds. Now, if you can only find peace in the quietude of a cave deep in the mountains of the Himalayas or some other quiet situation, then you're not really gaining much, because this is quite hard to have, to find and to keep hold of. We need to try and establish peace in our minds, wherever we are, whatever we face, the situations. So this is why it doesn't bother me that my vihara is on the main, not the main road, but the second main road from Colombo to Galle, two main cities of Sri Lanka. Very busy road. I don't even notice it. Maybe when I am practicing meditation late into the night or early hours of the morning, I notice it by its absence of noise, the silence. But the ongoing rumble of traffic, it's not so much a rumble, the odd bus going by, it doesn't really affect my practice. But I do apologise if it affects your listening or the audio quality of these talks. I have tried to adjust things so it's not too intrusive. However, it's difficult. But here, coming down here, and this is why I come down to this part of the beach, you've got wind blowing the microphone, there's the sea, and occasionally people passing by. I'm very well protected here by the locals, so although the last couple of days I've been elsewhere, it's been rain, and actually it's been the weekend. We've kind of got into a good routine now that I'm really just doing these talks through the Monday to Friday part of the week, allowing a couple of days at the weekend for you to have a rest, me to have a rest from each other, and also for me to put those phones down and have nothing to do with them. And that is what I do to all of those phone haters out there. And all of those phone haters out there, stop looking at them, put them away and practice. Because that's exactly what I do right after this talk. I push upload, and that's about all there is to it, really. So then I can put it away until tomorrow. I will, of course, look at your comments at some point in the afternoon and your emails and reply as best I can. None of it takes very long at all. But establishing this routine and this vihara, it wasn't here before I arrived, in answer to that question. It's not a monastery. Monks can, when travelling, just move into an empty building. It was an empty building. It was a little dilapidated, but the local people made it very nice. The owners made it very nice, cleaned it up anyway. It's very basic. I don't require much, and that's where I'm staying. And I think I will stay there for the foreseeable future. Because even if I decide to go on Charaka, which is walking about, I can do it from there as a base without difficulty. Here also I have established this routine of Pindapata, going on alms round each and every day. And this, and now this routine of these short talks at this time of day fits in nicely without intruding on my time to practice. I'm coming down here anyway, often to benefit from the sea breeze, the shade of the trees, and the quiet of this location for meditation, albeit there is noise of a different nature, sound of a different nature. And it is the noise, the sound in our minds that we have to really work towards quietening, bringing into an understanding, a knowledge of what it is. It's thinking of the past, it's planning, it's thinking of the future, but coming into the present moment, here and now. Even noise isn't a problem, pain isn't a problem. These things are only a problem when we extract them into our future. Oh, I can't put up with that anymore. And remember it from our past. When we see it as something just happening here and now, like this buzzing, it's like a hang glider, a big kite with the two little people hanging on a propeller and an engine underneath it, flying over here now. It may be intrusive by its sound, but soon it'll be gone, as all things are impermanent, anicca. Maybe unsatisfactory, dukkha, for a little while, but the nature of impermanence is such that, well, this sound is coming over now, soon it will be gone. And that, though, is out of our realms of control. We cannot say even what our bodies we believe that our hours will do next. In this few months that I've been here, my own body gave up a little. An old injury that had been fixed, which became unfixed as a result of considerable amount of walking, carrying, lifting up and down hills and steps, had to be repaired. Not something again that I planned for, but we shouldn't have expectations. It's expectations. We can have plans. It's good to plan, but not have expectations. Go with what happens as a result of our plans. Now, if our plans are based on good actions of body, speech and mind, wholesome activities following the Noble Eightfold Path, based on this right view, this right understanding, and right good intentions, using good speech, all good activities, and putting in sufficient effort with our practice of keeping the sila, keeping moral virtue, practicing meditation, and developing wholesome mind states, reducing unwholesome mind states. Putting in this effort, having duties that we need to fulfill, fulfilling our duties, our work responsibilities, diligently, well, to the best of our abilities. If we're working in an environment that isn't supportive of our practice, we can look at it. We can reassess the situation. There's no need to panic and try and change our jobs, but sometimes we may find we've just settled into a way of working, a way of doing things that's been done, we've been doing for many years. It's become just that is what we do. Sometimes we need to just take a step back and think, do we need to do it that way? Do we need to do this? Maybe we could have a change, and it might alter the direction of the rest of our lives by just quite a small change, or even a dramatic change. Continual reflection, review of our situation, applying it. A train that goes by, it will then disappear. Applying it to the Noble Eightfold Path, this wonderful thing we can apply to everything about our lives, as I have to apply to my daily life also. It may seem that my daily life is quite different to yours, but it isn't. I have to sleep, I have to eat, breathe. I mean, this is about it, isn't it, really? That's all you have to do, is have some sleep and eat. The rest of it is all other activities we indulge in and we have created as things we think we need to do. But essentially there isn't much more to it than that. This is how monks can live quite simple lives with just these four requisites of food, robes, shelter and medicine. And myself, being supported by those four requisites here in this country and from people outside of the country, have survived this long here very well, very comfortably, and be able to enjoy my practice perhaps more fully than anywhere before, because my day is so freed up from any other responsibilities and duties now this time in my life. So in that respect I'm fortunate, but it is also can be quite challenging when your body does do something like mine. It becomes difficult to carry out my livelihood, my right livelihood, as in the Noble Eightfold Path, is going on Pindapat to collect my food each day. It serves two purposes. It gets me fed and it gives people, lay people, the opportunity to give. So they're practicing generosity, I'm practicing gratefulness. They're also practicing gratefulness for me bringing the Sangha, or representation of the Sangha, to their front doorsteps. So this is an important part of my practice, both from a devotional side of Buddhism, but also from a meditative side, from a panya, a mental development side of my practice, because we learn so much when we are on Alms Round about our dependence and interdependence as monks with lay people. And that is such a very important part of the Buddha Sasana, the Buddhist religion, but also the Sangha. what we represent, us in these robes, these monks and nuns, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. So I'm reminded every day. So I was quite sad, not in a crying way, but quite disappointed in myself in a way, because I had the expectations to be able to do this continually, but then to have nearly a week. Wasn't quite. I managed after 6 days to resume my Pindapata alms round activities. Perhaps in hindsight unwisely, it was a bit soon, but hopefully I've got away with that and can now continue as we get into more towards the time of my recovery when I should have resumed, and forget about the past and moving on into the future, feel strong to keep continuing that part of my practice for everybody's, well, for Buddhism's benefit, because it's such a very important part, as I've just said, of the Buddha Sasana, this religion, and it's good that that can continue in countries like this. And also it is practiced and developing in other countries, in Western countries, in non-Buddhist countries also, and that's very encouraging for us all. So as the Upasta approaches, it's my time for reflection. All of the time is our time for reflection. Each and every evening is a good time to review and reflect upon your day, how you've kept sila, how you've practiced meditation, have you been developing the wholesome mind states and reducing unwholesome mind states. Now what I mean by that is, have we been exercising restraint where possible, not suppression, not pushing things away like a form of not liking, aversion, but just being cautious about where we direct our attention to. So, you know, something might flash up if you're one that's looking at your phone, or for work even purposes, you may need to be looking at your phone. Something may flash up of interest, but it's only that. It's been designed to catch your basic desiring nature and draw your attention away to what you were planning to do. And you may click on that, look at it, and go from one thing to another to another. And I'm sure we've all experienced that. Now, this is okay, but at the end of this, if you can review, was I developing wholesome mind states looking at this, that, and the other? Or would it have been, I would have been better placed to have continued just looking at what I was supposed to be doing, which was in fact developing wholesome mind states. And by just remembrance of this, by this reflection, we are continually reminding ourselves. This is a form of sati, this is mindfulness. We are continually reminding ourselves, as I'm continuing to go through this Noble Eightfold Path after livelihood, right effort, and then right mindfulness, sati, during our daily activities, to be doing that, reflecting on what we've just done, not to just harp on the past or thinking about the past or dwelling on that or trying to change things because they cannot be changed, but the situation you've arrived at now is only as a result of the causes and conditions you've put in place a few minutes ago. So this is important to understand, and this knowing and continual awareness of this is sati, is mindfulness. Only in this activity continually throughout our days and continual reflection, but maybe at the end of the day sitting and systematically just for a minute or two going through your day, yes or no, I've kept the precepts, I've practiced the meditation this morning, but I did spend a little bit too much time on maybe social media or something like that when I could have been listening to Dharma or doing something else more conducive to developing wholesome mind states. We can reflect upon this. Then and only then can we really sit down with a clean slate, with no need to be continually thinking about the future or drifting back to the rest of the day that's just gone before, or our expectations of the future. I meant the past there, looking at the past, or our expectations of the future. We can sit and practice our meditation very much more comfortably without all of these concerns. And this is how we're able to develop sama samadhi, right samadhi. And samadhi isn't anything so complicated. Like mindfulness isn't anything so complicated that we need to have huge, great big essay-length descriptions of the very nature of it. But if we understand the causes and conditions we put in place, karma, that is all of our actions of body, speech and mind, have their results, vipaka, the results of karma, in really developing a peace of mind, a calmness and tranquility that allows us to sit and allow the mind to settle without dwelling on the past, without expectations of the future, and very comfortably sit with our attention, our mind, our focus on one single meditation object. Maybe the breath, breathing in, noticing all of the air as you breathe in, all of the air as you breathe out, either at a point if it's comfortable for you, or just the whole body of the breath. Just be able to sit with this form of meditation we call anapanasati, but very quickly, without recitation of big lists of this and that and the other, without too much thinking about it, very quickly in a short time, drop into a level of samadhi which is just simply enjoying that exercise of breathing without worrying about the past or thinking about the future, even for a short while. That is so restorative and also so pleasurable, which is where the pleasure in meditation comes from. Piti and sukha. So we have this happiness, this absolute happiness of the emotional happiness, and the physical rapture, joy, happiness and joy, or joy and happiness. This we can only get from meditation. This we can get from our meditation whether we're sitting by the side of the busy main road, whether we're sitting in the quietude of a meditation center, a jungle with cicadas and poisonous snakes coming at you from all directions, or on a busy railway station or airport. It really doesn't matter, because what you're looking at, where you're bringing your focus of attention to, your conscious awareness to, is the breath, or your meditation object if it's something different. And that is what we learn to understand. And only can we learn to understand this and appreciate this by following this very simple, really it is, Noble Eightfold Path of Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Something I repeat time and time again, because I would rather repeat those basic facts time and time again than read to you from a book. We could do that. I could sit here reading the Abhidharma step by step, how the mind and the process of thinking works. But of course you can do that for yourselves. You can read all these wonderful translations that are available to each and everybody these days in most languages. You don't need someone else to do that for you. You don't need someone to be quoting long Pali passages that actually may not mean anything to me or you. It is necessary occasionally to use some Pali words. It's very important, because there isn't often in any of our different languages a good translation of that word. And when we come to understand dukkha as a fundamental aspect of Buddhism, that is, we call it suffering in English, it means a lot more than just that. It's more unsatisfactoriness, it's more a little off balance, a sort of out of center, a little uneasy. It's a whole description, a whole paragraph. But I don't need to talk to you in whole paragraphs and destruction and explanations with long words, when I can talk to you in terms of anicca, dukkha, anatta, and you can already quite easily have an understanding of that as impermanence, unsatisfactoriness, and that everything is not ourselves or out of our control. This you've come to understand by me repeating it time and time again. So if you're new and you're coming to this channel and you're thinking, oh, well, what on earth's this monk chap sitting on the beach or whatever it is talking about here? But then one wonderful question comes to mind, which they are many often, or very often, and usually very good questions that I get, some that I have answered in some depth in previous talks. You can just search that question you have, and even if I haven't talked about it, there will be other monks who would have talked at some length about it. But I think now, after all this time, most subjects in relation to everyday life and this practice, I have covered at one time or another. Now that's not to say I won't keep reviewing this and covering them again as the questions come up, because I am too developing my practice, my understanding experientially through this practice of these topics and these very applicable ideas. So we have a number that build up over this course of the couple of days when I don't use my phones or need to, comments and questions. I had planned, I picked my phone up, as you saw, to sit down and go through those and make a start on those with you right now. But as I've talked instead, which was not what I had planned to do, it doesn't matter, because I've had the opportunity to share with you some of what's been going on, what has been happening here. Maybe that's useful, maybe it's not, maybe it's interesting, maybe it isn't. But what you're seeing is somebody who is practicing something. Not so much, you don't need to see me as a religious person. Of course, I am a fully ordained bhikkhu, a Buddhist monk, and one could say that's a minister of Buddhism in a Buddhist country, in a way. That is what I represent. I'm representative of the Sangha, the body of monks and nuns, bhikkhus and bhikkhunis. And I have many rules that keep the way I live and all that I do in accordance with those rules, also to uphold the respectability of that Sangha, as all bhikkhus and bhikkhunis and monks are endeavouring to do, as well as their own practice of trying to become free from suffering in this lifetime and attain to enlightenment. Now, there are all different views on these different subjects, and I'm not either trying to persuade or talk to anyone about whether or not this person's views are correct, this person's views are not correct, mine are right or wrong. I have no real views. I just do as the Buddha instructed and share with you my experience of that. If that's useful, you can try it for yourself. If it's not, you don't need to. You could just look and see from a critical eye, well, I may be just keeping an eye on this to see how the guy ends up. Or you could look and say, I could pick up a few of those ideas and try them out for myself. And piece by piece, putting them together, quite dramatically change the way you live. Either way, it's up to each of us. I won't say just up to you, because like it's up to me. I take from the teachings of the Buddha, which are vast, what I find to be useful. In my case, from the Vinaya Pitaka, which is the rules for monks and nuns, how we live, and also from the Sutta Pitaka, which is the word of the Buddha, the Dharma talks, the desanas, the teachings of the Buddha, to lay people, to monks, to nuns, to all people of different walks of life, and those daily teachings he gave. I take from those as a way to try and practice, to learn and to understand what he was showing us in this what has become this Buddhist religion subsequently after his enlightenment and 45 years of, in his infinite compassion, sharing that with us. And all I strive to do is politely, without upsetting anyone, share my own experience of this practice wherever I may be with you. So one question comes to mind that now it came to mind and now it's gone, just like that. You see, we don't know what our next thought will be, but it was along those lines. But I'm not sure how long I've spoken for, so I think I could probably leave it there. suffice to say, the body is healing. I'm better. The place where I'm staying is still good, is okay. I intend to stay here, like I've already said, indefinitely, and hopefully share with you in this format how things progress here. Not specifically with my own practice, but by answering your questions and talking about your comments with regards to your own practice of meditation, and sometimes keeping that sila, keeping the 5 precepts as lay people. Hopefully I can assist you, and it also assists me with my practice by bringing those questions up and airing them and thinking them through and talking about them in depth. So in the next opportunity I get, when I sit down next time, I will go through those with you, talking to you about your comments and questions, and hopefully be able to clear up any confusion I may have created or we create ourselves from our sometimes we read something, we hear something, and we don't quite understand it. We put it into practice and it doesn't work. And by us sharing with each other, by this means, we hopefully communally come together and work out what things are, what's going on there, what's happening with our practice and how it's going. So I had something there that came to mind that was quite good to share with you, but I can't think what it is anymore. I might just look at the comments and questions, because I think there's a little time, just in case. I did go up to the Bodhi tree to talk to you last time. I might go there again. It was very nice to sit there. Because it's obviously a spiritual place, and to sit under the Bodhi tree there, in that you do feel very protected, and you do feel that nothing will come along to distract you from talking. So certainly when I want to talk to you at some length about a Dharma topic in a more formal setting, when it is difficult sometimes during the busy parts of the day, traffic-wise, back in the Vihara, that is a good location also, and it's only just across the way from me, not far to go also. I think we should conclude there. Couple of quick questions. Maybe I just wanted to see what it was that... Yes, that was it. Somebody asking about when I just mentioned the Vinaya, the rules for monks and nuns. What rules, and I've also mentioned the Uposatha today, and that's what came to mind. What rules can lay people take on the Uposatha from the Vinaya? Well, I've actually just spoken about that at some length in, I don't know, 1 or 2 videos, talks ago. But simply, you can take the 8 precepts. So rather than the 5 precepts that we should be trying to keep all of the time, of no killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying or taking of intoxicants, on the Uposatha day you can, as lay people, take 8 precepts. So Panchasila is 5 precepts, Arta Sila is 8 precepts. When you change number 3 to no sexual activity whatsoever, number 6 is you don't eat in the afternoon, number 7 is no entertainment or beautification, and number 8 is no sleeping on high or luxurious beds. But I spoke about this at some length, I don't know, 1 or 2 videos ago. So for the subscriber that asked me about that, please just, I'm not sure how you could look that up. Someone has very kindly, with the questions and answers in the comments, listed where the questions and answers are, but also YouTube eventually do that automatically too. So you can find specific questions to, specific comment, my answers to specific questions by that way. So on that note, I hope there's something useful there. If not, then just let it go. But if so, please use it. And thank you for watching. Until next time, be happy and stay well. Sukhi Hotu. So I still have to be quite careful getting up and down. I can't do my usual springing up and down.